Now let us see some Fourier transforms for some standard signals. First, we look at Fourier transform for impulse function, unit impulse function. It is also called delta Dirac function. Unit impulse function, another name is delta Dirac function. Okay, first the unit impulse function is defined as 1 for, so this is not 1, sorry, this is infinity for t equals to 0 and 0 for t not equals to 0. This here is infinity. Okay, it is infinity, right? Infinity for t is equals to 0 and 0 for t not equals to 0. So f of omega, we have to find the Fourier transform for the unit impulse function. F of omega, I can also call it del of omega. I can also call it del of omega, or for let us just call it f of omega. My f of t is the unit impulse function. Fourier transform of f of t is f of omega, which is integral minus infinite to infinite my function del of t into e power minus j omega t dt. Now we know that del of t exists only at t equals to 0. Del of t exists at only t equals to 0. And from sampling property we have, what do we have from sampling property? Minus infinite to infinite del of t into x of t dt is equals to x of 0. So here x of t is equals to e power minus j omega naught. So the whole integral can be written as e power minus j omega naught at t equals to 0, right? E power minus j omega naught at t equals to 0. There is no del of t here. It's only e power minus j omega naught at j omega t at t equals to 0. When you substitute t equals to 0, it becomes 1. It becomes 1. So my unit impulse function is something like this. This is my unit impulse function. This is my unit impulse function, right, at 0, and everywhere else it is 0. This is my delta of t. Now the Fourier transform of this signal will look like, what is the Fourier transform of this signal? We found out it is equal to 1. So for any frequency it is equal to 1. It is independent of frequency, right? Independent of frequency, this term is independent of frequency omega. So independent of omega, whatever the value of omega is, the Fourier transform of del of t will be equal to 1. It is a constant signal, right? This is my Fourier transform, right? This is my Fourier signal for the time domain signal impulse function, and this is my impulse function, and this is the Fourier transform of the impulse function. So what is the Fourier transform pair? The Fourier transform pair is del of t as the Fourier transform, del of t has the Fourier transform 1. That is the Fourier transform pair. So these pairs we should remember. We should remember these pairs. Even in the properties, these pairs, we had something like, see, these pairs, all these things we have to remember, right? All those things you have to remember. They are required in problems. So we'll move on to the next standard signal, which is single-sided exponential function. Single-sided exponential function. Something like this. My exponential function. It looks something like this. This is my single-sided exponential function. Okay. So it's only defined on one side. Exponential function is generally given by e power minus at because it is decaying exponential. I'm writing as e power minus at. And since it is only defined for one side, here in this case it is only defined for the positive side. It is nothing but e power minus at into u of t. E power minus at into u of t. So this is my single-sided exponential function. Now for this we will find the Fourier transform. So in the analysis equation, which is f of omega is equal to minus infinite to infinite integral f of t into e power minus j omega t dt. In place of f of t, we will substitute e power minus at u of t like this. Now we will combine these two terms. It will become, okay, this is from minus infinite to plus infinite. Now u of t, where is u of t defined? u of t it is defined as 1 from for t greater than or equal to 0 and 0 for t less than or equals to 0, right? So this integral can be separated into two different integrals with limits minus infinite to 0 and the second one 0 to infinite, right? Minus infinite to 0 and 0 to infinite. In the first integral, minus infinite to 0, when t is in between minus infinite and 0, that is this case, the value of u of t is equal to 0, that we are substituting here. And the second case, from 0 to infinite, that is t greater than 0, u of t is 1. So in place of u of t, we are substituting 1, right? So this first integral is multiplied by 0, so this goes to 0. So we can eliminate that, and we are left with only one integral, that is 0 to infinity e power minus, I'm combining these two terms here, so e power minus a plus j omega into t into dt. Now we'll integrate this term e power minus bt. E power minus bt integral is what? E power minus bt by minus b, right? So e power minus a plus j omega into t divided by minus of a plus j omega. Since that's a constant, I'm just taking it outside. And my limits are 0 to infinity. Now I'll substitute the limits of infinity and 0 at t. So if I put t is equal to infinity, what will this term become? E power minus infinity. E power minus infinity is 0. E power minus infinity, this becomes 0. And if I put 0, e power minus 0 is 1, right? So 0 minus 1. And we have a constant coefficient minus 1 by a minus 1 by a plus j omega. Now this is minus 1, so minus and minus gets cancelled. Now we have 1 by a plus j omega, right? This is the Fourier transform for single-sided exponential, right? Single-sided exponential. So how can we write the Fourier transform pair? E power minus at u of t or minus at u of t is equal, sorry, has a Fourier transform pair, has a Fourier transform pair 1 by a plus j omega, 1 by a plus j omega. So now what will be the Fourier transform for e power minus 3t, e power minus 3t u of t e power minus 3t u of t. The Fourier transform will be in place of a I have 3, right? So the Fourier transform will be in place of a I'll put 3 plus j omega. Now if I have e power 3t into u of t, that we'll see later, right? So e power minus a t u of t has a Fourier transform e power 3 plus, so 1 by 3 plus j omega. Now we will find the amplitude and phase spectrum, right? Amplitude and phase spectrum. This is my, so here I have my Fourier transform 1 by a plus j omega. Now I will find the amplitude and phase spectrum. So I have to separate the real and imaginary parts here. I'll separate the real and imaginary parts by multiplying and dividing it with a minus j omega, right? If I multiply and divide it with a minus j omega, I'll have a minus j omega divided by, this is a plus b into a minus b, which is a square plus b square. A square is a square and b square is j omega whole square. J omega whole square is j square into omega square. J square is minus 1, so minus omega square. So a square minus b square becomes a square plus omega square. Now I'll separate the real and imaginary terms like this, right? A by a square plus omega square is my real term, and my imaginary term is minus omega by a square plus omega square. So this is my real term, and this is my imaginary term. Now the amplitude, how do we find the amplitude? Amplitude spectrum, mod of f of omega, that is nothing but mod of f of omega is nothing but real term square plus imaginary term square under root. Square of this is a square by a square plus omega square whole square, right? And this is omega square plus divided by a square plus omega square whole square. If I add both of them, I'll get this a square plus omega square divided by a square plus omega square whole square. So this gets cancelled and I'm left with 1 by a square plus omega square. Now this, when it is under root, I have 1 by root over a square plus omega square. That is how I'll find my amplitude spectrum, right? That is my amplitude spectrum, root over real term square plus imaginary term square. Then phase spectrum, phi of omega or theta of omega, you can denote it with any symbol. That is nothing but tan inverse of imaginary by real. It is tan inverse of imaginary term by real term. What is my imaginary term? Imaginary term is minus omega, right? This term here, minus omega by a square plus omega square, and my real term is a by a square plus omega square. So these two terms get cancelled. I have tan inverse of minus omega by a, which is nothing but the minus sign, I can bring it outside, minus tan inverse of omega by omega by A. Okay. So this is how I can find amplitude spectrum and phase spectrum for any given Fourier transform, right? We'll separate the real part and imaginary part, and we'll find the amplitude spectrum, that is root over real term square plus imaginary term square, and phase spectrum is tan inverse of imaginary term by real term. So by substituting the values for omega, I can draw the magnitude spectrum and phase spectrum, or the amplitude spectrum and phase spectrum. I can draw the amplitude spectrum and phase spectrum by substituting values for omega. Okay. So if when omega is equal to 0, I have 1 by root over a square. So at omega equal to 0, my amplitude spectrum value is 1 by a. As omega increases, the value of the amplitude spectrum decreases. As omega decreases, the amplitude spectrum decreases, right? This is an even function. Similarly, tan, when omega equal to 0, tan inverse of 0, tan inverse of 0 is 0. As omega increases, tan inverse of omega by a, it decreases, and finally it will become steady at minus pi by 2, value of minus pi by 2. Same way on the negative x-axis, right? Negative frequencies. Okay. As omega goes to infinity, tan inverse of infinity is nothing but pi by 2, right? Since there's a negative sign here, when omega is positive, the phase is negative. When omega is negative, the phase is positive. Okay. If you remember, we have discussed in the existence of Fourier transform, the f of t, the given f of t must be absolutely integrable, right? If you integrate f of t from minus infinite to infinite, it must result in a value less than infinity. So if you look at this term here, if I integrate this from minus infinite to infinite, you can see I'll get a finite value. Now, if I consider e power 3t into u of t, e power 3t into u of t, right? How does this look? It looks something like this, right? E power 3t means it is a rising exponential, right? Rising exponential. At t equals to 0, my value is somewhere around here, e power 0, that is equals to 1. My value is 1 at t is equals to 0, and from there it keeps on increasing. This is my e power 3t into u of t, right? If you integrate this from 0 to infinity, or minus infinity to infinity, if you integrate it, the value will not be a finite value, because at t equals to infinity, what will happen? This thing becomes infinite. So the value is infinite. So it is not absolutely integrable. This particular signal is not absolutely integrable. So for such signals, we cannot find the Fourier transform. But there exists a Laplace transform, which we'll see in the 5th unit for such signals. Okay. So for now, if the given signal is absolutely integrable, then we will find the Fourier transform. So here, if you look at e power minus 3t, it looks something similar to this signal here. It looks similar to this signal. It starts at 1, u of t, right? Only for the positive side, it starts at 1, and it goes towards 0. So this will always have a finite value. It is not going to infinite anywhere. So this will always have a finite value. So that is why we were able to find the Fourier transform for this signal. The next standard signal is double-sided exponential signal. Double-sided exponential signal. So far we have done for single-sided exponential signal. Now this is double-sided exponential signal. So the signal is represented like this: e power minus a mod t. Right? E power minus a mod t. We are substituting this in the analysis equation. This is the analysis equation. This is the analysis equation. F of omega is equal to minus infinite to infinite f of t e power minus j omega t dt. Now we will separate this integral from minus infinite to 0 and 0 to infinity. We will separate this integral. The mod t, in place of mod t, this is the definition for mod t. Mod t is defined as for t less than 0 it is minus t, and for t greater than 0 it is plus t. So in the first integral t is negative. That means mod t is equals to minus t. So in place of mod t we have minus t. In the second integral, since t is positive, in place of mod t we'll just write t. Okay, we are just including the definition of mod t and separating the integrals in this step. Okay, next, simplify it. We'll combine these two terms. What will we get? E power minus and minus gets cancelled. A, and here we have j omega t. Here we have j omega t minus j omega t. So when you combine, we'll have e power a minus j omega into t, and for the second signal we have e power minus a plus j omega into t. Now we will integrate, right? This one we have already seen. It is a plus j omega, single-sided exponential. For this, if we integrate, we will get 1 by a minus j omega. You can try out the integration. We will get 1 by a minus j omega. You can simplify this further. I can take the LCM, a plus j omega into a minus j omega. That is nothing but a square minus j omega whole square. That is a square plus omega square. And if I cross multiply, a plus j omega plus a minus j omega, plus j omega and minus j omega gets cancelled, and I'll have 2a. So this is my Fourier transform for double-sided exponential, 2a by a square plus omega square. Now if I want to find the amplitude spectrum of this and phase spectrum, what do? I have to separate the real and imaginary parts. If you look at this, there is no imaginary part here. So this by itself is a real term. That means the imaginary term is 0. Imaginary term is 0. So my amplitude spectrum will be root over my real term square plus imaginary term square, right? Since this is 0, this is 0. Since the imaginary term is 0, this goes to 0. And what am I left with? That is nothing but root over r square. Root over r square means my real term itself. So this is my amplitude spectrum. So I can draw my amplitude spectrum just based on f of omega. How about phase spectrum? Tan inverse of imaginary part 0 by real part. So it is tan inverse of 0. Tan inverse of 0 is 0, right? So there is no need to draw the phase spectrum. We will only draw the amplitude spectrum, right? Amplitude spectrum. At omega equals to 0, it is 2a by a square, that is 2 by a. right? As omega moves away from as omega moves away from 0, as omega increases, then our f of omega, our Fourier transform amplitude decreases. It will be something like this. Okay, something like this. When omega is equals to 0, we have amplitude 2 by a. When omega is equal to minus a or plus a, what will happen? We have 2a omega square plus minus a or plus a. Here it will become a square. So a square plus a square is again 2a square, 2a square. So 2 gets cancelled, a gets cancelled. So we have 1 by a. So at minus a and plus a, we have 1 by a. Right? That is how we will represent our amplitude spectrum. So for the double-sided signal, double-sided exponential signal, what is the pair? What is the Fourier transform pair? It is f of t, that is e power minus a mod t. It has the Fourier transform pair. Fourier transform pair. What is it? 2a by a square plus omega square. A square plus omega square. So the next function is gate function. Gate function is another name for rectangular function, right? Rectangular function. This is my gate function. Here I have defined my gate function as amplitude a and between tau by 2, right? Mod t is between tau by 2, that is between minus tau by 2 and plus tau by 2, right? So I am defining that with, representing that with g tau of t. Here this tau is nothing but the total width of my rectangular function from minus tau by 2 to plus tau by 2. That is nothing but the total width here is tau. So that is what we represent here, g tau. Tau is the width of the rectangular function and t is the variable. T is the variable. Then for this we will find the Fourier transform. Fourier transform. So initially, what is the formula for Fourier transform? It is minus infinite to infinite, right? F of t and e power minus j omega t dt. This I will separate into three different integrals. The first one is minus infinite to minus infinite is somewhere over here, from there till minus tau by 2, right? From minus infinite to minus tau by 2. The second one is minus tau by 2 to plus tau by 2, and the third one is tau by 2 to infinity. Now if you look at the function here, the gate function, it is only defined in this interval. It is only defined in this interval. Here in these two intervals it is 0, right? So it is sufficient if we can consider our integral limits from minus tau by 2 to plus tau by 2. Minus tau by 2 to plus tau by 2. Then here the value of the gate function is a. So it's not k, it is a into e power minus j omega t dt. Then I will take a outside because it is a constant, and I am going to integrate e power minus j omega t. When I integrate e power minus j omega t, I'll get e power minus j omega t divided by minus j omega. And my limits are tau by 2 and minus tau by 2. I am substituting the limits. When I substitute the limits, if I substitute tau by 2, what will I have? Negative e power minus j omega tau by 2, that is this part, and then I have minus of minus e power minus j omega negative tau by 2. Negative tau by 2 means negative negative cancel, it is plus tau by 2, and this also gets cancelled. Now I am left with e power j omega tau by 2. Now e power j theta, here theta is equals to omega tau by 2, e power j theta minus e power minus j theta divided by this j I will get here, right? J, or let's forget getting j. Let us not get j here. What is this term equal to? E power j theta minus e power minus j theta. It is nothing but sine theta into 2j, right? Sine theta into 2j, this term, and I already have a by j omega, right? A by j omega. So j gets cancelled, and I have a by omega sine omega tau by 2. Right? Sorry, I have there's 2 here. So 2a by omega sine omega tau by 2. Now I'm just multiplying this term with tau by 2 and dividing it with tau by 2, just to get it in a form of sampling function. So that is how my Fourier transform looks like. So I'll just multiply and divide by tau by 2. So what happens? I'll have 2a sine omega tau by 2, right? Here I'm multiplying it with tau by 2, so I can write it as tau by 2, and I have tau by 2 term in the denominator, right? Tau by 2, and then omega is left over, right? I'll write omega also here. I'm just rearranging what I have in this previous step. So this 2 gets cancelled. Now I have a tau sine omega tau by 2 by omega tau by 2. If I consider t is equals to omega tau by 2, sine t by t. What is sine t by t? Sine t by t is nothing but sampling of t, right? So I can write it as a tau sampling of omega tau by 2. This is the Fourier transform for a gate function. If the amplitude of the gate function is a, and if the width is tau, width of the gate function, we already saw this right at the starting of this slide. If the width is tau, and amplitude is a, then the Fourier transform will look like a sampling function, that is a tau sampling omega tau by 2. When omega equals to 0, right? When omega equals to 0, what happens? We just have to draw the sampling function. How will we draw the sampling function? Sampling function looks like something like this, right? It looks like something like this. Now at omega equals to 0, what will happen? Omega equals to 0. Sampling of 0 is always 1, right? And sampling of 0 is always 1. And where will we have the 0 crossings? 0 crossings. This is 0 when omega tau by 2 is equal to plus or minus n pi, right? Your numerator is 0 when is your sine term 0? Only when your x is equal to plus or minus n pi. So what is the value of omega here? Omega is equals to plus or minus 2n pi by tau. 2n pi by tau. So the first 0 crossing will be at when n is equal to 1, it is 2 pi by tau. The second 0 crossing will be 4 pi by tau, and on the negative side it is negative 2 pi by tau and negative 4 pi by tau. Something like this, right? Here the amplitude is a tau. A tau is my amplitude because sampling function at origin is 1 and I have my amplitude a tau, so a tau, right? This is a tau. Okay, so for a rectangular function or a gate function, the Fourier transform is a sampling function. It's a sampling function. Here also there is no phase term. It is a real term, so no need to consider the phase spectrum, only amplitude spectrum. Now what happens to the Fourier transform if f of t is like this? So my f of t is defined as 1 from t in between 0 and capital T. 0 is here, capital T is here. So in this range it is 1. Everywhere else it is 0. So what is this actually? It is a shifted version of my gate function, right? My gate function looks something like this. Let me say t by 2 to minus t by 2 to plus t by 2. This is my gate function and the amplitude is a. So this is nothing but just a shifted version of my gate function. By how much is it shifted? It is shifted by t by 2, right? For this is my gate function g t of t, and this is nothing but g t of my width of this pulse is t. How much is it shifted? It is shifted by t by 2, so towards the right side, so minus t by 2. It is shifted towards the right side, so negative symbol. By how much it is shifted? By t by 2, right? It was starting at minus t by 2, now it is starting at 0, so it is shifted by t by 2, so minus t by 2. So we have to find the Fourier transform for gt of t minus t by 2. We know the Fourier transform of this one, right? What is the Fourier transform for the rectangular function with amplitude a? It is a into width of the pulse, that is t, into sampling of omega t by 2, right? This is the Fourier transform for a rectangular pulse. Now what is a here? What is a? A is 1, right? A is 1. Okay, let us first find the shifted Fourier transform for the shifted pulse. Fourier transform for the shifted pulse. So there is a time shifting thing. This is a time shifted version. So what happens for a time shifted version? According to time shifting property, f of t minus b. What will be the Fourier transform of f of t minus b? Fourier transform of f of t minus b will be equal to f of omega into e power minus j omega b, right? So we are just introducing a phase factor. So let us do the same thing. F of omega is nothing but at into sampling of omega t by 2 into a phase factor e power minus j omega. Instead of b we have t by 2, so t by 2. Now here the amplitude, what is the amplitude here for the signal? 1. So instead of a I can write 1, right? So I will just remove a here. So what am I left with? T into sampling omega t by 2 e power minus j omega t by 2. So that is my Fourier transform. Okay, that's my Fourier transform. So this is how we can apply the Fourier transform properties, right? We know the originals in the standard signal. For that we know the Fourier transform. This signal given to us now looks like a shifted version of the standard signal. So for time shifting, we took the property of the Fourier transform. It is something like this: f of t minus b has the Fourier transform f of omega into e power minus j omega b. So we applied this property and got the Fourier transform for the shifted version, right? That is how we use the properties of Fourier transform. Let us continue in the next video for the Fourier transform of the other standard signals.